Riders, good afternoon here at the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. We are about 5 minutes to the first horse at the BentonHorseSports.com 1 metre 45 FEI Welcome. Good afternoon and welcome back to the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. It's the second of 5 days of top-class equestrian sport for the Lugano Diamonds Split Rock Jumping Tour, the final edition of the 2022 series here in Sarasota, Florida. We've had a wonderful day so far, all kicked off with the national classes. We've seen riders come forward in the speed and power, and we also had the 7-year-old immediate jump-off class as well. Now, though, we turn our attention to the second of the international classes that we jump here at the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. It is indeed the BetHorseSports.com 1 metre 45 FEI Welcome. We wish all those to come forward the very best of luck to tackle another track designed by the Carriage and Bays in Canada's Peter Holmes. There's a challenge out there. There is. And it's 12 fences. It's 14 jumping efforts with a time allowed of 81 seconds. Combinations at 6 and at 10 AB as well. Some big names coming forward, names that have already been successful here in the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. Top results already, riders like Victoria Ketchum. Got Aaron Vale coming forward, Tina Yates, Great Britain's Jessica Mendoza. She's been on great form in recent months, and especially here, the Split Rock Jumping Tour. Over to page 2, Taylor Lands coming forward. She picked up a top 5 placing in the FEI Power and Speed already here today. And it is all to play for. Nearly 50 horse rider combinations in total to contest. We'll have the first of those very shortly indeed. So get yourself settled down, grab something to eat from one of the food trucks, and get set for the BetHorseSports.com 1 metre 45 FEI Welcome.
So good afternoon and welcome here to Terra Nova Equestrian Center near Sarasota, Florida for the Lugano Diamonds Split Rock Jumping Tour. Our BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome, the class that will set the scene for the Lugano Diamonds Grand Prix this weekend for our international tour. And we start with Simon McCarthy. Simon with Rockridge Farms Gotcha is going to show us the way around this track set by Peter Holmes of British Columbia, Canada.
The time allowed, 81 seconds. The first of those to get us underway comes from Ireland. Drives the Rockridge Farms Gotcha. It is indeed Simon McCarthy. Very successful year last year, taking wins as part of the Elios Major League Show Jumping team and individual Grand Prix wins as well in Traverse City and at Palm Beach. Will the good form continue here at the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre? With Gotcha, Simon McCarthy, Ireland.
So the first of just under 50, he'll take the field in this BetHorseSports.com competition. BetHorseSports.com will be featuring our FEI Grand Prix on Saturday as one of their free fantasy games this week. You can even get skin in the game, put some money down through the app as well, and allocate some of your wager towards the riders you think might jump clear, might end up on the podium. Michael Cruciotti, he's been working on that app and been partnering with us here at Split Rock throughout the last season. Simon making a nice job of the early part of this course. He jumps the Lugano. He's staying in very tight here on his way back to the Jarvis. We had quite a tight time allowed in the first phase yesterday of the international two-phase competition. And we've got an 81 seconds time allowed here in the initial round of our FEI Welcome. Simon just sits up coming down to the Terra Nova vertical after that line. Again, just you see such an economic line close into the helm there, coming around to the western boots double. Final line, the equestrian closet. That's the back rail down off that, just a little bit strung out on that final line. And over the green and white with the big boxy wings to complete. Simon McCarthy and Gotcha will show us the way around. They show us in 4 faults. The time, 73.36, very, very comfortably inside the 81 seconds time allowed though for the pair.
73.36. The time allowed sets at 81 seconds, so that seems quite achievable. Will that remain the same though for all the combinations? Remember, they've got to travel quite quickly, 375 metres per minute to be exact. But Simon McCarthy hitting that time quite nicely indeed. So Caroline Mawini.
Caroline Mawini's our next to go. Caroline's owner rider, junior rider in our field ride Stance de Buisson.
Number 587 on the bridle.
He gets the approach in off the right rein and then of course changes through the air. That'll probably what most do. Horses enjoy that opportunity to change direction in the air over a jump. This is quite steady in comparison to Simon McCarthy just moments ago, but as much as anything, it's about just riding your horse in the way in which it's comfortable and can give the best performance. Coming to the triple bar, and again he's not left them too many sort of straight line related distances in this course, so the rider's really having to come up with a plan. And Caroline, for instance, has sort of knife straight across at that, but coming in at the angle to the Terra Nova, actually you land on a good angle to make the run up to the ESI footing at 9. Just a shame, misjudged their spot coming into that double, so very, very flat, very long. And nearly somewhat the same at that big equestrian. Closedox are at the far side of the ring, so it's 4 faults and time faults coming into play as well. 82.76 on the clock is going to be 2 for time for Caroline Mawhinney and Dance de Buisson.
And 2 for time as well. The time, 82.76. Remember, the time allowed is 81 seconds, so any second commenced after that time allowed does incur 1 time penalty. Caroline Mawhinney and Dance de Buisson, obviously. We stick with the United States of America this time to the Bridgebrook LLC's Casherelle. Kelly Miller has the ride. Made a Nations Cup debut in Mexico for Team USA back in 2018. Since then, has had many a top 10 placement from 2 to 4-star. And their last international run back in 2021. How will we get on here around this track of 14 jumping reference? Casherelle and Kelly Miller.
Kelly Miller and Bridgebrook LLC's Casherelle go next. The Vingino side Dutch warm blood mare. Kelly, who's been a US Nations Cup rider, was last with us on the Split Rock Jumping Tour in Lexington, Kentucky in June of last year, in June of 21 actually, I mean by that. She's had the front rail off the Vitalize with that downward pointing V-shaped filler is often influential on the tracks. Of course, the majority of these jumps traveling with the tour, supplied by Dalman Jump Company. Kelly carrying on, of course, here with Casherelle, just wants to try and measure up against a course that is on the way towards being the Grand Prix track on Saturday. We're on a very similar specification here this afternoon, but just going to leave another one on the ground, so it is 3 down on the way around. Oh, it rolls all the most way out of the cups at the last, but it stays. It's 12 and 78.33 for Kelly Miller and Casherelle. And you can see there, actually, at this stage we can still see the warped line. And you can see how much she was dropping in through the right shoulder over the triple bar, which again means that you can do a leave out to the Terra Nova vertical, but you can then just end up really jumping across it, and the horse might not read it. And again, if you're very extreme on that, as can sometimes happen in a jump off, you could just have the horse go out to the left-hand side and refuse.
What can he do? Manages things like a horse out here in Florida, producing a real nice selection of jumpers, hunters, and the equitation horses as well. Had a great time in Fort Worth back in December.
Aaron Vale, here's our next to go. Thinks Like a Horse's Cristo Beach.
Could he do the same with us, perhaps, at the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre?
The winner of the International Welcome with us at Fort Worth. He was a well placed in the speed competition in Aiken. Just has to hold this horse, Cristo Beach, a little bit off the Lugano Diamonds, charging up that distance to the vertical. Aaron went to the World Cup finals for the United States of America last spring in Leipzig in Germany. A podium finisher at our last outdoor Split Rock Jumping Tour Grand Prix in Lexington, Kentucky. So another one, much more unusual to see Aaron get out of shape coming down there, but the horse just sort of spotted something suddenly, really ran out of oomph going down into the A element of the cowboy boot stubble.
First to have that down, the A element of the
75-61, so I think the time in the first round here is not going to be very, very influential at all, but it is the rails that are doing their job at the moment. Still no clears, 4 faults for Aaron Vale and Christo Beach.
That's the benchmark at the moment, but we've got some interesting combinations that come forward to contest in this FEI Welcome. There will be a clear in there somewhere. Could it be from our next combination? Continuing with the United States of America, it is Tina Yates and Ed.
Tina Yates is going to be our next to go. Tina with Evaluddin. Tina is actually on the Split Rock Jumping Tour Roll of Honor. She won the National Prix, which was the highest level competition in our second week in Portland, Oregon this year with this horse. Tina is previously ridden with us up in Columbus, Ohio, and of course on the west coast in Sonoma, California. Our California show now moved to the Paso Robles Horse Park. Evaluddin, 10-year-old by the VDL side, Dallas. They're going to have the autumn leaves down, so already we're starting to see the problems spread right the way around this track set by Canada's Peter Holmes. The moment, 4 pretty valuable. I mean, as things currently stand, we'd be jumping off the 4s while we wait for our first clear round. Such a shame to have that early error. 76-16 on the clock for Tina and Evaluddin. When it comes to it, when we do get a better score than 4, those 4 fault rounds will be divided based on their time, and that is not our fastest 4 fault just yet. Tina will actually be the 3rd ranked of the 4 faulters when they're broken. Simon McCarthy, the fastest, much the fastest in 73.36, showing us how achievable the time allowed was going to be today.
From the USA to Great Britain.
Well, one of a small group of riders to have taken multiple legs of the Split Rock Jumping Tour Grand Prix Series. Jess Mendoza, a double winner. She rides Barney Blue. Jessica, who was on the British Nations Cup team at Falsterbo in Sweden last year. She's been on the British Championship team in the past. Jessica was on one of the national podiums here yesterday as well. Full program of national classes every day here with the internationals rounding out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The International Grand Prix a little bit earlier than on Saturday. It's going to be running off at 11 a.m. And then Sunday, having put the FEI series to bed this weekend, it is about the Championship Series. Athletes, horse and rider combinations who've been seen at 3 legs of the Split Rock Jumping Tour in the 2022 calendar year, eligible to ride for a $100,000 2-rounder on Sunday at meter 15, meter 25 and meter 35 level. But Jess Mendoza and Barney Blue, the double international Grand Prix winners on the Split Rock Jumping Tour, give us our first clear round. So that means now we do split the 4 faulters. Simon McCarthy sits 2nd, Aaron Vale sits 3rd, Tina Yates sits 4th. But Barney Blue and Jess Mendoza clear round number 1 of the Bet Horse Sports FEI Welcome, and that is just over 10% of the way through the draw. We get our first clear round. Part of the Venezuelan team in Nations Cup action at WEF in Florida last year. Juan Andres Vegas Enriquez, Juan Andres and Culver van Weilerhof. Bolivarian Games contender for Venezuela as well. So this is the challenges now on to try and deliver a jump off to decide our BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome with Jess Mendoza on the 0 score so far. Our only clear. A couple come very close. Tina Yates was very unlucky to have an early rail. Aaron Vale just had a moment when the horse just lost attention going into a fence close to home. Otherwise, he'd have been on the clear. The winner of the indoor welcome with us at Fort Worth. So Juan Andres just ducks a little bit inside the line there to do the leave out. Inevitably on those curved lines, you have two choices to make, which is going to suit your horse better. Nobody really, I think, should be feeling that they have to hustle against the 81 seconds time allowed. Turned inside the Vitalize as well, and the measured distance of the course is outside that Vitalize. There we are, 76.10. Juan Andres Vegas Enriquez and Clever van Weilerhof. They give us clear round number 2, and straight away we're into a jump-off finale for the BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome here at Split Rock, Sarasota. You can see he just got into a little bit of trouble over the equestrian closet on the way home, but Juan Andres did a great job just putting the leg on, getting the horse settled and forward again, going down to the last. It would have been so easy to have had the last down after that tricky jump over the equestrian closet. In the center of your screen is Israeli Olympian Daniel Blumen. Over the top stables, Kashmir Lebraise. Daniel's been having an incredible season on the Winter World Cup. Podiums at the Royal Winter Fair in Toronto, podium at the National Horse Show, and podium at the Washington Horse Show in World Cup action. Daniel, former Olympian for Colombia, before declaring for Israel a few years ago. Daniel actually a winner yesterday. This is the Florida circuit so busy. He was out at the Ridge yesterday, jumping there, and he took the win on one of his younger horses. Daniel's actually a great supporter of that series down in Wellington. He uses it to set up a lot of his young horses then to go to the Winter Equestrian Festival at Wellington International and pick up some good prizes. I mean, Daniel himself has won the Week 12 finale there several times. Multiple winner of the Hampton Classic Horse Show as well. Daniel, horse very clever, just takes a little bit of a hop, skip and jump. He was a long way off that equestrian closet and comes home. And Daniel Blumen and Kashmir Lebraise give us clear round number 3. Jess Mendoza opens the floodgates really here as we get 3 in a row qualified for the jump off. Fascinating that Daniel is actually the quickest of our clear rounds in 73.78, having gone out around the Vitalize. 73.36, so a little bit faster from Simon McCarthy with his 4 faults. He sits in 4th place. Victoria Ketchum and Ecstasy are going to be our next on course. Copperline Farm LLC in the ownership of this Holsteiner by Quadros. So already a national winner today, Victoria Ketchum, looking to deliver a 4th clear round for our field here in the Welcome. good earnings to be made on BetHorseSports.com today, with potentially quite a few of the riders going clear. The odds in BetHorseSports.com set on the basis of the statistics powered by the Jumper app, JUMPR. And when you go in and you put your money down, you have, say for instance, you put $50 down, you get your 2,000 points. So they have a value based on $50 divided by 2,000. You can allocate those points then to as a bet against whether you think a horse is going to go clear or a horse and rider combination will end up on the podium. And the odds of those two things happening, of course, quite different. It's similar to betting on an individual number or betting on black and red at the casino. But those statistics, those odds, powered by the horse's previous form, and that all comes from the Jumper app. So Victoria and Ecstasy stopped the run of clears, coming home to this final line on 8, landing a little bit short over the equestrian closets, but they don't have to reach too far to the last when they get there. 79.80 on the clock, so a little bit closer to the optimum than we have seen just recently. But Victoria Ketchum and Ecstasy will sit out the rest of the class on 8 jumping faults.
And Great Britain's Jessica Mendoza. It's the 3 that will be coming back so far. And I'm sure there will be more to join them as well. So
Kelly Cruciotti van der Veen next to go. Gangster Z. Gangster, as we were saying yesterday, by Glasgow Van Het Merelsness, the Nations Cup Grand Prix winner of Rome in the past. Kelly, who's been a World Cup finalist for the USA. Kelly, you had a good show at the indoors at the National Horse Show in Lexington, Kentucky. Second in the speed there, third in the International 2 phase as part of World Cup week at the National. Lays a toe on the Terra Nova vertical, rolls it in the rail, and it is on the slightly shallower yellow cups there, that top rail, but it stays. So Kelly's still on course for a clear at the moment, and as soon as I say that, she has the front rail out of the cowboy boots. This is Simon McCarthy, our fastest 4-faulter, already home by now in 73 seconds and some change. Kelly is going to be another 4-faulter, but relatively slower, with 78.65 on the clock. So that goes into 7th place as things stand. 3 for the jump off. Simon McCarthy, the best of the 4-faulters, in 4th. Aaron Vale and Christo Beach sitting 5th. Israeli Olympian at Tokyo in 2021, Alberta Michan, who rode alongside Daniel Blumen in the Nations Cup team for Israel at Thunderbird in Canada last spring. So unfortunately for Albie, it was the front rail off the Vitalize early on course for the rider who was top 5 with us yesterday in the International 2 phase. with this horse, Hitchcock de Dam. B element at the Cowboys goes is actually the first time the B element has gone. A element has been pretty influential. LB's Hitchcock just produced quite a flat jump over that equestrian closet. We actually found that far side of the ring as well, where horses just looking, I think, just out beyond into the hinterland here at Terranova, this beautiful estate outside Sarasota. The lake hit on that side as well. So I'll be Mishan. And yesterday's top 5 finisher, Hitchcock, have 8 faults here today. So we go to Coco Faith. Coco, a former 2-star Grand Prix winner on the Global Champions Tour. That was at New York City on Governor's Island. Coco with Hillside Farms LLC's Chelasco Z here. Coco was top 5 with us in our International Grand Prix at Aiken, South Carolina. Back at the end of last year, that was our final outdoor show of the season, before then the Indoor World Cup at Fort Worth.
Bring forward 2 international rides this week. The Terranova Equestrian Centre, Amplified and Chelasco Z. That's the ride she has in this class, the 9-year-old Bay Gelding, owned by Hillside Farms LLC. For the USA, Coco Faith.
Coco and Chelasco down towards this split rock double. Everything going well at the moment. It's got a good pace picked up on this course as well. There's often the triple bar down. So unusual, but quite often that's about thinking about the distance you want to ride after it. Out around the Vitalize on their way home. As I say, we did see a few of the early riders just turn inside the Vitalize. The dotted line given by the designer does say they go outside. The second last time, but Coco pops the last and comes home with 12 faults in 77.69. Sorry, we were just, it is 8 jumping faults, just those 2 down as we saw.
First seed combinations that come forward in the bestsports.com, 1m45 FEI Welcome. As for the international classes, yesterday afternoon, this is the second of which.
Katie Tyler now, Katie with Enya. A while since we had that run of clear rounds. Jess Mendoza, Juan Andres Vegas for Venezuela, and Daniel Blumen of Israel are our 3 currently eligible to come back to us for the shortened course.
That will be an exciting 3 classes of big entries too, as now we continue the United States America. The 11-year-old bet mare she brings forward by the name of NHUF 21. It is Katie Tyler.
Katie Again, just landed a little bit right of centre over the Jarvis, but squares up the line that she wants down to the split rock, still on the clear at the moment. Rode this horse at some of the holidays and horses shows through the month of December down at Wellington International. It's the ESI, and again, he's on that particular curving line, he hasn't really left them an option. They really do just have that one line that puts them so close to the wing of the first, the Helm Limited. So Katie, originally from the northeast up in Connecticut, is going to join the party. She is clear round number 4. So Katie Tyler is clear round number 4 there with Enya.
His place in the ring to his Samuel Perot and his own captaincy, number 532.
So very good result there a moment ago for Katie Tyler. Enya, only one international show before. That was the 2-star tour of the Hampton Classic last September. And a great way for Katie to join the party at her first ever Split Rock Jumping Tour. Samuel Parro, though, no stranger to us at the Split Rock Tour. Samuel of Chile and Captain Z. Samuel won a Split Rock Jumping Tour Grand Prix in May of 2016. It was actually my first ever Split Rock show, I remember. And he also has won the Kentucky 3-Day Invitational, held as part of the Split Rock Jumping Tour alongside the Land Rover Kentucky 3-Day event. So the cowboy boots front rail goes as well for Samuel, just as it did earlier on for Aaron Vale and others. They're the last in just under 76 seconds. In fact, it is 76 exactly for Samuel. So that will go into 7th position. 4 clear rounds: Jess Mendoza, Juan Andres Vegas, Daniel Blumen, and just moments ago Katie Tyler. And of course they come back in the order in which they qualify in this BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome.
Remember, it is the jump off class, and so far they're all going through into that. Chile and then
Maria Gabriela Brugal-Gasso with Uris de la Roque. Uris de la Roque and Maria were second in the Welcome at Aiken. So can they repeat or improve on that performance here with us today at their next Split Rock Jumping Tour show? So unfortunately the Vitalize down. Maria took over the ride on this horse just in the 2022 season. Actually the tail end of the season, ridden right the way through to his local show, the Hampton Classic, by Canadian Olympian Mario Delorier. Maria double clear for that second place in the Welcome at Aiken back last November. Back rail off the first part of the cowboy boots, the vertical B element down as well, so suddenly 12 faults for Maria Gabriela Brugal-Gasso. ridden right through the levels for the Dominican Republic. Youth Olympic Games rider for Dominican Republic and her region back at Nanjing in China in 2014, and since then Bolivarian Games, Pan American Games. Stella Rock and Maria Gabriela Brigal-Gasso, unfortunately today, scoring 12.
Quite used to riding at 375 metres a minute, so the time allowed is really achievable at this stage. We've not seen that really any combination to pick up time penalties for very adverse reasons. But there's time yet, and there's time yet for more players. So far,
Megan McDermott with Counterbalance LLC's Nintendo next to go. Nintendo, that name, little surprise to find by the German side Nintendo. Megan, a career winner of the 5-star Grand Prix at Saugerties in upstate New York, has jumped indoors on the World Cup circuit and jumped the World Cup Tour last spring at the Live Oak International here in Central Florida. Live Oak, the only show in America to bring together international combined driving and World Cup level show jumping. Always a fantastic day there, the marathon crowds watching the four-in-hands then drift up to watch international world ranking show jumping in the afternoon, the beautiful grass arena of Live Oak. A long way off that equestrian closet, but this is a good round of jumping. Megan McDermott and Nintendo are clear round number 5.
Number 5, and the best horse pulled stock from 1 metre 45, FEI Welcome. Racing in 77.83. Megan McDermott, Counterbalance LLC's Nintendo.
Making a very, very good job of this course. We've got already shaping up to be a great class. Some big, big names and some real challenges in there already amongst our 5. I'll see how many more join them. Alex Granado also on the Split Rock Jumping Tour Roll of Honor. He was a World Cup qualifier winner with us in Columbus, Ohio a few years ago. Alex here with Helios van der Nozenhoven. Alex and Helios were the winners of the Welcome with us in June of this year on the Split Rock Jumping Tour at the Kentucky Horse Park in Lexington. Alex had that, and still does have that fantastic relationship with Carlson W, that the horse that won those 2 World Cup qualifiers for him, the Columbus, Ohio with us on the Split Rock Jumping Tour, and also the Palm Beach Masters World Cup qualifier at D Ridge here in Florida. B element of the Split Rock Jumping Tour double down, unfortunately, here for Alex with Helios, his winner of this very class at one of our 2 weeks in June in Kentucky, as I was mentioning. So that's another well-placed former Welcome horse and rider combination that we have here in Sarasota that are slightly going to go by the wayside in this class, but the week far from over. There's an international speed for these horses tomorrow. There is the International Grand Prix on Saturday. And Alex, a very experienced rider, he knows that there's potentially a few dollars in the pot if he can be one of the fastest 4s the way things are shaping up at the moment. I think we're still going to end up with quite most of the prize-winning places taken up by clear rounds who go forward to the jump-off. And he actually, even going inside, isn't that fast. He's 78.12, so he actually needed to go inside to be on 4 rather than 5 or more.
When seen into the jump off, unfortunately, that does put them into 10th if we weren't to have any more go forward clear. Series out of the placings. Good effort put in there. There are more opportunities to beat on the FEI stage here. The Lugano Diamonds Split Walk Jumping Tour at the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. Onwards we go. Onwards to the USA's Angela Swanson and the A. Swanson Farm LLC's 15-year-old grey man, Belzy. Just being led in now down that tunnel. We'll soon be away over this track.
So seen nearly 20 of our competitors. We're 17 under our belt, 5 clears so far, with Megan McDermott and Nintendo getting the most recent of them. Here comes Angela Swanson through the in-gate of this arena we're using as the main rings. This wonderful new B&D Builders pavilion here built between the 2 rings we're using at Split Rock. But actually just in the background there is an even bigger ring. I mean, Terra Nova, I mean, the facilities here you want for nothing at this venue. And we're delighted as well that Split Rock Jumping Tour through Helm Limited are partnering with Terra Nova to deliver a couple more shows this spring. The spring series here at Terra Nova is going to have a series of hunter jumper shows, February 15th through 19th, 22 through 26th, March 15th through 19th, March 22 through 26th. So 4 weeks, 2 2-week blocks of hunter jumper competition here at Terra Nova, just outside Sarasota, at this astounding venue. Angela Swanson and Belzy, sadly, they have had the very, very first down the Helm Limited fence. So Angela just taking things very, very steady here with Bell. Oh, and just maybe lacking a bit of oomph over the ESI at number 9. So takes the back rail, can't quite make it. I have to say that he's made the oxes pretty chunky here. They're wide enough for the specification of the class. And Angela Swanson with 2 down and time penalties to play with as well. 82.43 on the clock is going to be 2 for time.
After that time allowed does result in 1 time penalty, so they finished with a total of 10 in 82.43. Belzy and Angela Swanson. Continuing on with the United States of America, with PBS Equestrian LLC's Camille Marcusson and the Belgian Dégage Cherie de Papinier of the 4.35 on the bridle.
Camille Marcusson and Cherie de Papigny. Copin van der Broy is the sire of this Belgian warm blood. So Camille from Iowa. Again, been riding down at Wellington this spring. Didn't compete through Holiday and Horses, but busy then in the WEF Premier Week, WEF 0, I suppose you could almost call it, and then the first couple of weeks of the Winter Equestrian Festival down in Wellington. Camille and Cherie de Papigny. Trying to be clear around number 6 in this bedhorsesports.com FEI Welcome. Just a little bit more on the outside line than most. Going down to that Terra Nova vertical after the triple bar. Just pats down a little bit in front of the ESI, meaning they had to work quite hard. It does just kind of grind to a halt a little bit in front of some of these later fences, making Camille worked quite hard. They had to work quite hard coming out of the double. It doesn't quite come together for them with the B element down, so they're going to be on 4 and they're going to be in time as well. 84.42 for the big horse there, Sherry de Papigny and Camille Marcussen.
So they're ready to 84.42 for Sherry de Papigny and Camille Marcussen for the USA. We've got 5 into the jump off. Jessica Mendoza.
So 4 for jumping and 4 for time there for the big Belgian horse, Sherry de Papigny and Camille Marcussen.
And 1 for Great Britain. Jessica Mendoza was the first of the clears. Maggie McCallery with the 9-year-old chestnut gelding Indian Quality G. Finished last year in a really good position, having gained multiple top 5 placings out of the Netherlands and Maastricht in the small tour FEI classes. Spent a little bit of time training with Ben Mayer, girlfriend, finessing those skills, becoming a well-rounded equestrian. Maggie McCallery then. Indian Quality Z.
Maggie McCallery, Maggie with her own Indian Quality Z. Maggie, who's been involved in a couple of good horses in her career. She is one of the original producers of Orna Laya, who went on to John Whitaker, and also recently Gakir, who was a World Championship horse last year for Canada's Erin Ballard. Maggie's ridden Nations Cups for the United States of America as well, and quite consistently a competitor with us in Europe, and finished off her 2022 European season with an international win at Maastricht. Very good indoor show that at Maastricht as well. Maggie's just having... Oh! I thought she just really wanted to ride positively down that level. I'm not sure then, when you see having to make that huge adjustment on the way down to the Terra Nova vertical, whether the pace into that triple bar was entirely Maggie's choice. And unfortunately, just that, you know, the little bit of untidiness, a little bit of the plan coming apart costs them. And this horse just really taking the head again, and does exactly the same thing. So the back rail off the ear side, the back rail off the equestrian closet, 77.08 on the clock. It is 8 jumping faults, and it just goes to show you, when even with a horse that's run, you know, when the rider has to sit up and make all those adjustments, make all those pulls, it's actually not fast. 77.08 with 8 faults for Maggie and Indian Quality Z.
To a rider from Puerto Rico, Andres Espinay Samper won the first international class that we held here at the Lagana Diamond Split Rock Jumping Tour just yesterday. That was the 1m35 FEI Power and Speed. Comes forward with the same ride as well, Ferrari DN, a 13-year-old bred bay gelding.
Andres Espinay Samper owns and rides Ferrari DN, the Indoctro horse that was our winner here yesterday of the International 2 phase in Sarasota. Rode this horse in, again, some of the December, the series finale shows down in Wellington. So Ferrari and Andres were actually 2 phase international winners at Tryon last year as well. Previously the Puerto Rican international. Andres was a competitor at the Central American and Caribbean Games, but yesterday's winner today being found out a little bit as the specification goes up about 10 centimeters. I think we were meter 35 yesterday, we're meter 45 today, and Andres Espinay and Ferrari have 2 down as they come to the final line. Again, the time of 81 won't trouble them. The last nearly troubles them, but it stays, it rolls back into its cup. And Andres Espinay, Sampere and Ferrari are another one on 8 faults with their time 77.44 will go into 14th position. Leading the way are 5 clear rounds who will come back to be divided by a jump off over a shortened course.
In that same class, right, the Eppendorf horses, Conrad 155, a 10-year-old German bred grey gelding, and the stubborn Rupert Winkelmann, Germany.
So Rupert Winkelmann with Eikendorf horses, Conrad. And Cristallo sired won this. Been jumping here in the US just the tail end of last year. Came over in October and jumping in Mexico and over on the West Coast in Thermal. And again, it's been jumping some of the Winter Equestrian Festival shows down in Wellington this spring. Rupert with the early rail. Rupert, who was on our podium yesterday, was starting to think he came inside the ESI on his way to the Jarvis Insurances. Was assumedly thinking about being a fast four. Now that he's had the second down, the hand goes up and electing to retire.
Altitude down, also decides to retire and save the Eppendorf horses, Conrad 155 for another day. Rupert Winkelmann from Germany deciding to retire. From the betthorsesports.com, 1 meter 45 FEI 2-star welcome. 2 more combinations to go before a harrow break here in the main jumper ring. We look to be over the top stables LLC's Mark Blumen, Maryland, Columbia. 17 years out of Europe, Hamilton stables before returning back to the US to continue working on Blumen Equestrian.
So 3 of the Blumen family with us here at Split Rock, Sarasota. Mark Blumen, cousin to Daniel, steps forward now, still in the colours of Columbia. He's got over the top stables Maryland as his ride. Combination that were 5th in the Dixon Oval in the Grand Prix at the Devon Horse Show last year in Pennsylvania. Mark was the 2-star Grand Prix winner at Greenwich, Connecticut last autumn. Top 10 in the World Cup qualifier indoors at the National in Kentucky. And already top 5 this season in a Grand Prix down at the Winter Equestrian Festival. Mark came close to having the same early four that plenty of others have had with the Vitalize, but it stays in place. They're still on the 0 at the moment. Gets that shortest line up to the cowboy boots. He looks, you can see his head and eyes clock over to the right, showing that he was going to try and get inside the Vitalize on his way home. This is very, very fast already, 72, 73 seconds on the clock, and it's going to be clear too. This is a good round. Mark Blumen and Maryland go through. So joins cousin Daniel on the start list of the jump off to come as clear round number 6 here on our betthorsesports.com. FEI Welcome in Sarasota, Florida.
And potentially more to come as well from the betthorsesports.com FEI Welcome. Next rider rode into the placings of the European Championships in 2015 and 2017. And the horse he brings forward, the 9-year-old Fred Blackner, the name of Jocelyn WP, finished 6th in the CSI 2-star centre in Belgium back in November.
Former youth team gold medalist for Belgium, boy Adrien van Gelderen.
Boy Adrian van Gelderen.
APG Stables, Jaslyn WP is the ride here by the famous Harry Smulders horse Emerald. This is boy Adrien's first international show in the United States. Unfortunately, the vitalized front rail goes early on for boy Adrien van Gelderen. So with the early rail then, one more on the way around for a total of 8 for boy Adrien van Gelderen and Jaslyn WP for APG Stables. The second entry C from APG, Kelly Cruciotti van der Veen, was also riding for them with Gangster Z. That takes us up to halfway through this first round. We have 6 currently qualified for the jump off. We're going to let ESI footing in to touch up the surface back to tip-top condition and welcome forward the second half of our BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome starting field and see how many more will join those currently 6 qualified for the jump off here on the Lugano Diamond Split Rock Jumping Tour in Sarasota, Florida. So we're going to take that very short break. Do stay with us and we will be back. And don't forget, looking forward to the rest of the week. We have another international class tomorrow. You can check out the full schedule of both rings here in Sarasota on the Split Rock Jumping Tour app. But we have an FEI speed class tomorrow evening. We have the FEI Grand Prix on Saturday morning. And then on Sunday here, we have our 3 $100,000 championship series classes, meter 15, meter 25 and meter 35. And we've got big fields of riders who've qualified over the course of the 2022 Split Rock Jumping Tour series to come and ride for that big money here in Sarasota. So back to it here in the BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome. We have 6 currently qualified for the jump off over Peter Holmes's course. It's a world ranking class here this afternoon, and of course the prelude to Saturday morning's Lugano Diamonds FEI Grand Prix here at Sarasota. Big features this weekend are going to be the Series Championship $100,000 classes on Sunday here at the Terranova Equestrian Centre as well. But to get back to our FEI action, we're going to take forward for Spain Diego Perez Bilbao with the Over Fences Farms LLC's Mystic Lindenhof. Like plenty before them, having the Vitalize down at number 2, so Diego already on 4 faults, leaving us still with 6 coming back. Diego riding here in the United States since 2019, finished up in Europe, jumping at the Longines FEI Jumping Nations Cup Finals as a Spanish individual, riding in the Queen's Cup competition, the big 5-star Grand Prix of those Nations Cup Finals a few seasons ago. This will be Diego's first Split Rock Jumping Tour show. Still on the 4 as they come down now. This last line, 81 seconds the time allowed. That's very, very comfortable for the majority of these international riders. Very few being caught out by the time, and a lot getting well inside it. But Diego Perez Bilbao, it is the rail down that costs them the opportunity of a place in the jump off, finishing here on 4 in 78.45. So just being led down to the ring is our next to go, Mauricio Neumann Perez. Mauricio with Coco de Chambourg. Mauricio, one of our younger riders here, actually rode at the North American Youth Championships in the young riders level at Traverse City back in 2021. Vitalize goes again. Mauricio this time paying the penalty there early on course. The autumn leaves comes with him too. So 8 faults quite early on for Mauricio. So just shaping up on the final line, bringing home 12 faults to these last 2 on course, Mauricio. Coco de Chambourg. And takes the last as well, just catches it behind. So Mauricio and Coco de Chambourg will have 4 down, 16 jumping faults inside that time allowed, 79.82. So the combination we saw finished just off the podium yesterday in the two-phase Get-Go and Taylor Land. Taylor riding for the United States of America. Taylor was actually a top 5 finisher in the Grand Prix here at Sarasota on the International Tour 12 months ago. And jumped in our Invitational at the Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event last spring as well. So Taylor and Get-Go, the third in a row to have number 2, the Vitalised, down. Again, Simon McCarthy remains our fastest 4-faulter. But at the moment, the fastest 4-faulter is worth 7th. And the ESI footing back rail goes. We've seen that go a few times as well, just there in front of the big screen at the far end of this big Grand Prix arena. So Taylor and Get-Go coming home with the grand total of 12 jumping faults there in the initial round of our BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome. Ramiro Quintana is going to be our next on course, the Argentinian rider with Daniel Michan's Champion League. So Ramiro picking up a good pace around this course, still on the 0 score at the moment as well, looking to be clear around number 7, joining the FEI Welcome jump off field here. BetHorseSports.com. We haven't had it clear since we've come back from the drag break. Ramiro, who represented Argentina at the Rio Olympic Games, been a medalist with the Argentinian team at the Pan Americans as well. And Gotigo de San Giorgio was his ride for second place in the two-phase yesterday, but he comes down just a little bit short on the back rail of the equestrian closet, and it's 4 faults coming towards home. 78.55 on the clock might tell you a little bit of the story. Ramiro maybe felt he had to hustle a touch coming on that final line, just conscious the pace he had picked up of that 81 seconds time allowed. It hasn't been too troublesome for people who've ridden forward all the way around, but I think Ramiro had ridden a little bit conservatively, trying to make sure of the jumps, and then caught out when he felt he had to move up on the final line. So Trinidad Sofia Richard for Chile, and Kumorka by Copin van der Broek. Second Copin van der Broek I think we've seen in our international field. Yeah, same sire as Camille Marcus and Sherry de Papigny. So the third is down, 4 faults. Lugano Diamonds might be one of the few fences on course not to have come down at all. Trinidad just sits up a little bit. Kumorka being a little heavy in the hands on the way down to that split rock, jumping to a double. It takes a little bit of a risk at the ESI, steadies up for this, which has been an influential. That's a very cheap rail. They didn't touch it very hard at all, if at all. Well, for sure they did, but it just didn't seem to be. And down it comes. So that is going to have them on 8 with 1 more to jump. And Trinidad Sofia Richard and Kumorka will finish on those 8 faults in 78.10. So Caroline Mawini, second ride for Caroline. Stella Levista. This is another chance for Caroline to try and make it through into the jump off. Well, she missed out first time around. Caroline having a little bit, of experience under her belt, having been in before, touches the front rail there, the ESI, but gets the benefit of it, stays. This is where they had problems before. One of a rash at the time to have problems through the cowboy boots. Has actually been relatively quiet in that part of the ring for a while now. Caroline and Stella De Vista could still be our first since the drag break to go clear. They are. So they are clear round number 7 and the first since we took that halfway break. Stella De Vista and Caroline Mawhinney 7th to qualify, and therefore will be 7th back over the shortened course to come here, set by Peter Holmes. Peter, who designed for us at the tail end of the 2021 season in Aiken in South Carolina as well. So great pleasure to have him back with us on the Split Rock Jumping Tour, designing here for the Series Championships week at Sarasota, Florida. Of course, the Cowichan on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. Native of British Columbia, Peter, who designs the major shows at Thunderbird Show Park, including their CSIO 5-Star Nations Cup week, where we saw this man on the Israeli team 12 months ago. Daniel Blumen. Daniel for Israel with Ubiluk for Over the Top Stables. Daniel, one of the most successful riders based here in North America and successful all around the world as well. He was top 10 in the Geneva Grand Prix at Christmas time. He is a career winner of the Rolex Nations Cup Grand Prix of Rome at Piazza di Siena. Daniel already with one qualified as well in the shape of Kashmir de Braise. For the jump off, is he about to make it too? Through the cowboy boots, looking around to the final line. And Daniel and Ubiluk go through. They are a latest clear round, making it 2 in a row there in quick succession. And it is clear round number 8. Daniel now with 2 in the jump off. A very, very secure round of jumping, of course, from the Olympic level rider for Israel, Daniel Blumen. Multiple 5-star Grand Prix wins in his career. And Ubiluk, a very, very successful horse for him. Kayla Savard is our next to go. Bogota Nantuel. Dollar de la Pierre, the sire of this Sol Francais mare. So Kayla Savard, unfortunately, so close to the end of the course, but has the back rail out of the cowboy boots to put them on 4 and stop us getting 3 in a row here of clears after the clears quickly in succession from Caroline Mawhinney and Daniel Blumen. 78.92 for Bogota Nantuel and Kayla there with the 4 faults. Catherine Kubiak's our next on course. Catherine with the Dutch Warm Blood Huntington for Over Fences Farm LLC. Catherine, who rides onto the amateur card here in the United States, actually rode the 5-star tour at the Hampton Classic this year.
In the under 25 classes, most recently seen out in Wellington, jumping the Grand Prix there. Catherine Kubiak and Huntington.
This pair were actually on the Youth Nations Cup team at Deer Ridge at the Palm Beach Masters in the spring of 2020. They finished just outside the top 5 in the young rider, the under 21 Grand Prix. And Catherine still featuring in the Hermes under 25 tour down at Wellington International through the course of the Winter Equestrian Festival. Catherine Kubiak and Huntington ending up with 2 down, 8 jumping faults there for the pair. One of our, again. So in fact a total of 12 jumping faults. Catherine and Huntington with the 12 jumping faults sits outside the top 30 of our ranked riders so far as we go back to Albi Mishan, Israeli Olympian. Albi with Nabal de Trevera by Nabab Derev. Going to be our next on course here in the BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome. So we saw Albi earlier on with Hitchcock, his horse that was top 5 yesterday in the 2 phase. Haven't made their way through to the jump off, so he's kind of all in now on Nabal de Trevera to see whether he can steer this one through to the shortened course. Well, unfortunately, no. The Autumn Leaves goes down here off that first long sweeping turn away from the in-out gate end of the arena. Albi and Nabal de Trevera coming home. It is going to be 4 faults with this one as well for Alberto Michan and Nabal de Trevera. So 4 faults it is, therefore no change to the number coming back for our jump off, and that remains at 8 with 2 for Israel's Daniel Blumen. Well, next to go, Canadian Nations Cup rider all around the world, Jonathan Miller, of course part of the incredible Miller family of Canadian Olympians. Jonathan with Isotropic Networks, Isotropic Shadow. Jonathan's been a World Championships level rider, a World Cup finalist for Canada. And Jonathan actually has been a Grand Prix winner with us at Split Rock as well, taking victory with us in Kentucky last June at the 2-star level. Jonathan, Isotropic Shadow. We're going to get Canada onto the start list of the jump-off. So far, it is riders for Great Britain, Venezuela, Israel, the United States, and Colombia who have those places in the jump-off. But Jonathan turning in a very, very solid, secure round here at the moment as he comes to the final line. Really pushes on down here towards the last. He sees a great spot at it, and he is pretty fast too. 76.56, but that is clear, and it's clear round number 9 of our FEI Welcome. Jonathan Miller and Isotropic Shadow, another career Split Rock Jumping Tour Grand Prix winner, making it through to the jump off today here in the FEI Welcome. BetHorseSports.com, our sponsors this afternoon. Kelly Cruciati van der Veen back with us. Kelly, who took victory in the Dixon Oval of the Devon Grand Prix a few seasons ago, World Cup finalist. Kelly with Isabella van der Zoethoeven, Thunder van der Zoethoeven, no surprise, the sire of this one. Tough break for Kelly there through the cowboy boots, having both parts down. It's out pretty wide on her way home then to this final line. Kelly Cruciati van der Veen and Isabella van der Zoethoeven inside the time, but the two down at number 10, 10A, 10B down for 8 jumping faults. So Ireland, one of the most successful nations in the course of the Split Rock Jumping Tour Grand Prix Series. Jonathan Corrigan with Deborah Wyckoff's Super Chilled have been there or thereabouts. Super Chilled was top 10 in the Grand Prix with us at Aiken. Jonathan, who's based in Bridgehampton near the Hampton Classic Horse Show Showgrounds, has been an Irish Nations Cup rider. and won a very good world ranking class here in Florida at Live Oak a couple of seasons ago with this horse, Super Chilled. Well, unfortunately, Super Chill, just very, very experienced horse, just didn't come out of the corner and read that fence quite right. So a fault and disturbance. So stop the clock, we'll get the ring crew here. Get that fence reset. So everything reset. The bell is given, and Jonathan and Super Chilled will come around and have another go at this. It's interesting that Seb may be going towards the equestrian closet, that Peter Holmes hasn't really made much play of the in-out gate, but still getting away from that end of the ring has been a little bit of an issue for a couple going towards the autumn leaves. Jonathan, on retaking it, ends up having it down, so he's picked up a total of 8 faults at that fence alone. So a few down, unfortunately, for Jonathan Corrigan. Time faults coming into play as well. 86.61 means it's going to be 6 for time for Jonathan and Super Chilled. So total of 26 there for the Irish contender, and very, very uncharacteristic for Jonathan and Super Chilled here today in the Welcome. However, on the other side, they have completed the class. They are eligible now to go forward to the Grand Prix. They have completed the initial round of a Table A competition, so when it comes to Grand Prix qualification, Jonathan and Super Chilled are eligible to be considered for a starting place in the Grand Prix under the qualification system. So second ride for Coco Faith now, as Coco comes forward with Aventador, the horse that went very well for her with us at Aiken in South Carolina. Coco riding for Hillside Farm here with the German-bred Aventador by Arpeggio. So Coco earlier on with Hillside Farm's Chalasco, bringing home 2 fence round for 8 jumping faults. But again, you just see riders come in for the second time, just brimming with that little bit more confidence, that little bit more assurance of what plan works. And of course, the later you get down the draw as well, it's an opportunity to have seen some incredible riders. Like, you know, we've seen Aaron Vale, he was very unlucky. We've seen Daniel Blumen, of course, steer 2 clear rounds. And you know, exciting to have a rider like him ranked inside the world's top 20 up with us here at Sarasota this week. Coco and Aventador are a live one coming in on the 0 score, and they stay there. So Coco and Aventador take the advantage of having been in the ring once before to refine their plan, get it right this time around, and they are clear round number 10. We'll see them back. And Coco, who of course went so well with that horse with us at Aiken this year, 4th in the Grand Prix, just a shade off the podium when we finished up in South Carolina. So Aaron Vale with Laurie Osterstock's I Adermi R4. Five-time Puissance winner indoors at the Washington International Horse Show. He's a 2-time winner of the World Cup and the President's Cup competition at Washington as well. World Cup finalist for the United States of America. He was the winner of our Welcome competition indoors at the World Cup at Fort Worth in December. Unfortunately, Baccarel coming out of the split rock, jumping to a double here just below us. That solid, pretty much solid black coloured fence. Always quite an influential colour. And the split rock material is influential as well, particularly the A element with that big, thick plank filler underneath. Designers play with the placement of that, whether it was quite friendly yesterday, quite high off the ground today. It's just a thin sliver of light coming in underneath, and actually then designers get a great effect out of that big split rock plank by putting it right down on the ground, and it looks like sort of the base of a wall or something. And again, it's all about how the horses perceive these jumps. That is a lot of the technicality to these courses, and the jump materials, the jump colors come into that an awful lot. So unfortunately, Aaron there is going to have 4 faults once again. 2 4-fault rounds for Aaron today in the FEI Welcome. Emirat de Boispas and Daniel Pedraza Littlewood, the Mexican contender here. Mexico yet to get one onto the board for the jump off. So unfortunately, Daniel Pedraza won't be getting Mexico onto the start list with a 3rd fence down now in all, with the B element of the split rock jumping tour. But I'm just trying to remember if we saw Emirat yesterday in the 2-phase, or whether Daniel, as long as the horse isn't uncomfortable in the way he's jumping, he'll continue on, because if he can get through the finish flags here, he'll have picked up qualification for this horse. And even if he did jump yesterday in the 2-phase and he's necessarily Grand Prix qualified, that was meter 35. We're going to see a big chunky Grand Prix on Saturday morning, and Daniel will want to know, out of this Welcome, the most comparable class, you know, how his horse is jumping. You say with 4 down, yeah, he's calling it a day here. So he's just going to have to consider. I think the horse did jump in the 2-phase, so he is eligible. But Daniel here pulls up today, and he will think very carefully about whether he wants to run this horse in a Grand Prix this weekend or whether he wants to go back a little bit to the basics in the schooling for the rest of the 2023 season. But retiring on course here, just coming into the final line today, Daniel Pedraza Littlewood and Emirat. Alex Crown and Dumont are next to go. Alex, over in Europe, was a career winner of the two-star Grand Prix at the Longines Global Champions Tour show of Madrid at the Club de Campo Villa de Madrid. Beautiful big grass arena. Those two-star Grand Prix, they're pretty close fought. So a great honour to have caused the US anthem to be played at such a prestigious show as well, over 100 years of history at Madrid. Alex and Dumont. They're still on the 0 score at the moment. Maybe not the fastest round, but 81 seconds has been very, very tolerable. And just, well, we think they might be coming in with a steady clear. Unfortunately, just licks the front rail off the ESI footing. Oxer over there in the corner of the ring in front of the big screen. So Alex Crown and Dumont on a minimum of 4 as they head towards home, and it remains still 10 coming back for the jump off. And she is into time. I thought she was steady, 82.33.
Has the Oxer done at 9, has the final stand as well, the green vertical.
So with the last stand, it's 8 for jumping, 2 for time for Alex Crown, and Dumont a total of 10.
Welcome.
So second chance now for multiple split rock jumping to a Grand Prix winner, Samuel Parro of Chile. Bugazzi is his ride this time around. So Samuel coming home all the time in the world here as he clears the equestrian closet. Flies at the last as well. 75.63 Samuel Parro and Bugazzi give us our 11th clear round. The two-time split rock jumping to a Grand Prix winner, Samuel of Chile, safely into the jump off here over Peter Holmes's track. We'll have a look at that jump off course, of course, just before we get going. We'll see how many more join. 3 or 4 remaining on the start list here in Sarasota, Florida. So Samuel, two-time Chilean Olympian, makes it through as clear round number 11. Daniel Blumen with 2 qualified. And here now is Stephen Blumen. Stephen, who also now rides for Israel. Stephen owns and rides Biblu de Perron. Stephen, who's previously been a Nations Cup level rider for Colombia, been riding for Israel since 2020 and jumps a lot with us over in Europe. And he has the Vitalized down, unfortunately, at number 2. So that is going to keep this member of the Blumen family out of the jump-off. Daniel with 2 and cousin Mark with 1 in the jump-off so far. But unfortunately, Stephen Blumen not going to join it with Biblu de Perron by Old Chap Tame this one. Ending up there with a total of 16 for 4 down for Stephen Blumen and Biblu de Perron. So Camille Markison with Michael Mellors. Kinkeen Lock goes next. We saw this pair yesterday in the 2-phase. Second ride for Camille as well, having been with us earlier on with Sherry de Papigny. Camille just rattles the Lugano Diamonds vertical there, but it stays up. Camille with the last down as well, unfortunately there. So Camille with 8 faults here with Kinkeen Lock. And 82.74 means it's going to be time penalties for her as well. So a total of 10 in the round. So happy with A. Swanson Farms Good Time Girl. So we've seen Angela Swanson herself riding here, but this is another one from her ownership. Good Time Girl by Celestial. So again, who we see consistently in those sort of two-star classes, global champions or Longines Masters here in North America. Cesare and Good Time Girl. Oh, we thought they're just going to go at the last, but it stays. So it is clear for Cesare and Good Time Girl. It is clear round number 12. So up to a dozen and a couple more who could yet join them, and good names to come. Sean Jobin, who went well yesterday. Ali Wolf, who's gone very well for us up at her most local Split Rock Jumping Tour show back when we had the venue up in Columbus, Ohio. Still to come, but we're up to 12 coming back for the short course finale. It's a good five-star form through that new Major League Series over the past season or two for this rider, Sean Jobin of Canada. Rode the World Cup Tour at Washington last autumn and had a couple of good results on the four-star World Cup Tour at Toronto, the Royal Agricultural Winter Fair up there, the Royal, back in 2019. Sean here with Cuba Libre by Kornit Obolensky for Foxridge Farm Stables. So still sitting on 12 clear rounds out of 47 starters so far. So 1 in 4 turning into clears over Peter Holmes's track. Sean, another one to have the B element of that Split Rock Jumping Tour fence down. Sean and Cuba Libre, it is 2 down, number 3, and the Split Rock Jumping Tour double B element as well. So 8 faults today for Sean and Cuba Libre. Sean had a good result with us yesterday, sitting inside the top 10 on the eventual ranking of our international two-phase. Query and Ali Wolf, Ali out of New Albany, Ohio. Rides John Wolf's Query, this German warm blood bred. US Nations Cup rider, former Grand Prix winner at Upperville, the oldest horse show in America there in Virginia. been on the podium at the Devon Horse Show as well. Nations Cup rider, not only here in the Americas at the likes of Jalapa in Mexico, but also across the ocean at Falsterbo in Sweden on the major European tour. Lucky there at the ESI footing, really tapped that front rail. It rattled around in its cup, but luck is on her side. Ali Wolf and Query might be the lucky 13 to make it through, and they would be going last in the jump off to come as well. The time is absolutely fine, and Ali and Query are through, so it's a baker's dozen coming back to us. Clear round number 13, and we'll get that jump off course set for the 13 coming back to us. We waited a little while before Jess Mendoza gave us our first clear round for Great Britain. Then Juan Andres Vegas Enriquez and Clever van Vulverhof, Daniel Blumen and Kashmir de Brays came very, very quickly after. Then Katie Tyler and Enya. Then Megan McDermott and Nintendo were our fifth. And Mark Blumen of Columbia and Maryland gave us our sixth just before the drag break. Since we came back after the halfway, we've had Caroline Mawini, Stella La Vista, followed by a second for Daniel Blumen. That was with Ubiluk. Jonathan Miller and Isotropic Shadow became clear round number 9. Coco Faith and Aventador pushed us into double figures with clear round number 10. Then Samuel Paro and Bugazi, the double Split Rock Jumping Tour Grand Prix winner. Samuel Paro was clear round number 11. Good Time Girl and Sire Happy were number 12. And Ali Wolf and Query were last to go and clear round number 13. So you see our first 10 over the page. We will have 11th, 12th and 13th to qualify. Samuel Paro, Sire Happy and Ali Wolf last to go. Simon McCarthy will unfortunately miss out on some prize money here today. Oh, I think maybe we will have more than 12 prizes, but as fast as 4-4, Simon sits in 14th position in the eventual ranking. 13 to come back and be divided by a jump off over a short course here in a few minutes time from the Lugano Diamond Split Rock Jumping Tour Sarasota as we conclude our BedHorseSports.com FEI Welcome. So welcome back to Lugano Diamond Split Rock Jumping Tour Sarasota. As we prepare for our jump off, the first of 13 is with us. A track that will start out jumping what was the last fence in reverse. Crossing the ring then to the Lugano Diamonds. Following on to the Jarvis Insurance, then the Split Rock Jumping Tour double, 4, 5, 6 AB. New fence 14 across the middle of the ring is the Dalman Vertical. And then it's fence 1 and 2, as was the Helm Limited, down to the very, very influential Vitalize. Jess Mendoza, Barney Blue, going to set the standard for us here over this shortened course. Taking the most obvious route around to the Lugano. Wonder whether there's a possible line inside the cowboy boots. Probably not. They come down to the Jarvis Insurance again. There's an opportunity here to try and be daring and leave one out going down to the Split Rock Jumping Tour double, but that's potentially the price you pay. You can see how he's set up a very oblique angle to that Dalman Jump Company. Over to the helm, and then there the Vitalize. So 42.61 for Jess Mendoza with the 4 faults. Jess having the A element of the Split Rock Jumping Tour double down. The first of 3 clears that we got very quickly in a row in the first round, Jess Mendoza and Barney Blue. We'll still finish in the prize money today. 4 faults, 42.61. We'll see how high that ends up being in the final analysis. How many double clears we end up out of these 13 horse and rider combinations. So Juan Andres, Vegas, Enriquez, Clever, Van Vulverhof. Double clear inside the time allowed for the jump off of 51 seconds will go into the lead. Goes out on a very, very nice wide turn to the Lugano. There is an opportunity to be closer into the cowboy boots fence and just get the final line. But again, it's whether it breaks the rhythm, breaks the speed and the pace that you're able to carry. Juan Andres clear. The double comes inside everything there. The Roman Towers, the Vitalize on his way back to the Dalman. Across the ring, he's a little bit snugger here, knowing that he's in a better position, of course, than Jess Mendoza. A little bit left of center of the helm. So again, thinking about every inch of this ring. He was being super careful to the last, but the horse Clever just wasn't super listening to him. Juan Andres Vegas was doing his very, very best there to try and give us our first double clear. 42.91. It is, in fact, going to end up being slower than Jess Mendoza, so we'll go into second place at the moment. Jess Mendoza still leads with a fast, well, the fastest so far of the 4 faulters, as we go on to the first of 2 now for Daniel Blumen. Daniel, always very fast. He laid down a very good time with this horse, Kashmir de Bray, 73.78 in the first round, one of the fastest of anyone over the first round track. He's just a naturally very fast rider. So this is neater inside than his Venezuelan predecessor on the way to the Lugano Diamonds, and he turns up pretty short to the Jarvis as well. I'm not sure that 7 was necessarily the original plan. It looks like they just had a little bit of a will we, won't we on the way down to the split rock, but they're still on a 0 score at the moment. He just lifts the hand, sorts out his reins on his way down to the last. Now, we've seen 2 in high 42s. This is going to be double clear, and it's going to be competitively fast as well. 38.46 for Daniel Blumen and Kashimir Debrays. The sole français for the Israeli championship rider. Daniel Blumen takes over the lead with our first double clear, and as I say, a competitive time, I'm sure. 38.46. So Katie Tyler and Enya. Katie picked up clear round number 4. Joined some big names in this jump off. Let's see what a name Katie can make for herself here. So, so actually had gone out that little bit wider, more on Juan Andres Vegas's line, but then didn't actually finish the line and square up to the Lugano and offered that horse the opportunity to just run along the front of it out to the right-hand side. So it's 4 faults for the refusal and a lot of time wasted coming into the Lugano. So Daniel Blumen remains our only double clear at the moment. Unfortunately, the Vitalize goes as well, so it's time penalties coming into play. 8 jumping faults and time penalties for Katie and Enya here. So just 1 double clear out of the first 4 of 13 in this BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome.
So the time there of 57 seconds, total of 14 in that jump off. We've had 4 goes so far. It is Daniel Blumen and Kashimir Debrays that lead for Israel. Double clear with a time of 38.46. Continuing on with the United States of America, the 9-year-old Bay Gelding by the name of Nintendo. Megan McDermott for the USA.
Megan McDermott and Nintendo gave us our 5th clear round earlier on. Megan riding out of Counterbalance Farms. Megan, who was a big winner at the 5-star level of the sport, the Grand Prix at Saugerties a couple of seasons ago. Jumps through the split rock, jumping to a double, comes out of it 19 seconds on the clock. Just struggles a little bit for the turn back to the Dalman Jump Company vertical. It just makes life a little bit easier for themselves the way they present the Helm Limited, because they want to get this stride pattern right. Even though they were clear, they know that so many people had it down in the first round. So it's 40.79, and it is not as fast as Daniel Blumen, but it is only the second double clear, and that could be very, very valuable. Megan McDermott and Nintendo right up towards the top of the leaderboard, 2nd place at the moment. Nearly halfway through the jump off, only 2 double clears. So the combination that were top 5 finishes in last year's Sapphire Grand Prix at the Devon Horse Show in Pennsylvania, Marilyn and Mark Blumen for Columbia. Mark, who was an international speed winner at the National Horse Show, and he gets a great angle there on the Lugano. Nearly, it put him in trouble though at the Jarvis, and that's the nature of these courses. Everything is related to everything else. You have to be on exactly the line that was in Peter Holmes's mind to be coming out. as the winner of this. Mark still, though, pushing his luck. He turns very, very short up to the Dalman. He's shorter here to the Helm Limited, which should come up. But then what is his line going to be like here down to the Vitalize? So it's a four-fault round, just over 40 seconds, 41 on the clock, 41.42. It's the fastest four-faulter at the moment, so valuable enough for fourth place, but he will be overtaken by any further double clears. Third so far, though, for Mark Blumen and Marilyn for Colombia. Caroline Mawhinney next up. Stella La Vista for Caroline. This was her second ride through the ring, and she used the experience of the first one and watching a few more rounds of jumping to deliver the clear round. It was our 7th clear, and now she's hustling along, hoping to be our 3rd double clear of the BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome, but a little bit too forward free through the Split Rock Jumping Tour double. It gets close in on the distance to the B element and has nowhere to go but through the front rail of the Oxa. So Mark Blumen was the fastest four-faulter moments ago in 41.42. She is going to be there or thereabouts, but it is in front, 41.13. So she takes over third place. Caroline Mawhinney is our new podium place holder, with Stella La Vista behind our 2 double clears, Daniel Blumen and Megan McDermott. Daniel Blumen actually just coming back here very quickly with Ubi Luck, the experience of the rider to be able to turn a horse around this quick. Having 2 in the jump off. Daniel is the current leader with Kashmir de Braise, and now comes back with Ubi Luck for Over the Top Stables with his own time in the crosshairs, 38.46. So Daniel Blumen, Ubi Luck, maybe not as tidy on the line as he was with his first horse to the Lugano, but he is visibly going faster. Coming back to the Dalman vertical now, he was in good shape time-wise. He's so daring back to that Dalman. We've seen people take risks like that and it hasn't come off for them. He dares again to the helm. He's got 3 seconds in hand coming down to the last. We just see him take a little bit of balance through the hands, and he's going to stop the clock in 39.26. He makes it a 1-2, but it is still his other horse that leads. Daniel Blumen and Kashmir de Braise, 38.46 in the lead, 39.26 for Ubi Luck and Daniel to hold first and second, but 0.8 of a second is the difference. So there's quite actually a lot of space there for somebody else to steer into and maybe sneak second place away from him. But 38.46 has been unbeatable so far for Daniel's first ride, Kashmir de Braise. Isotropic Shadow and Jonathan Miller fly the flag for Canada in our jump off. They were the 9th to qualify through. Jonathan out very, very wide here on his way to the Lugano, so he is trying to see, you would suggest, if he can just get a double clear, and hopefully that would be worth maybe a top 5 result. I mean, he's not for the want of riding forward between the fences, but he's just not taking the tightest lines. Isotropic Shadow, 12-year-old horse, so should be experienced enough to take those lines if he wants. You know, you can see here Jonathan and the horse's experience that he can dare him on the angle across the Dalman, but he just didn't feel that he wanted to take as tight a line as some have done to the Lugano. And of course, we saw that count against one. Yeah, interesting. Like, even without those tight lines, it is pretty fast. 42.88. It is 4th of 4 in terms of the double clear, but it is not very, very far behind some of those leading competitors. Jonathan Miller, Isotropic Shadow, though, a nice double clear today. Remember, this is still the setup class. Yes, it's a world ranking class. Yes, it's the biggest money so far. Yes, it's the biggest height so far. But this is still the setup class for the FEI Grand Prix. And Jonathan Miller just could be a little bit of a dark horse. He might be keeping his powder dry with that horse, Isotropic Shadow, to really, really strike on Saturday morning in our Lugano Diamonds FEI Grand Prix here in Sarasota. Coco Faith and Aventador made it double figures. They were clear round number 10. Hillside Farms Aventador by Arpeggio for Coco. Coco's been an international Grand Prix winner, won one of those good global champions, 2-star Grand Prix. Starts like she means business anyway, really winds up on the approach to number 1, but here, a little bit like Jonathan Miller, she's quite wide to the Lugano rather than really knifing across it. But again, you know, we saw one rider try and knife the Lugano, the horse refused. We saw another rider knife across the Lugano and then come up on the wrong spot to the Jarvis and ended up having it down. But it is still steady in comparison to some of our leaders coming out of the Split Rock Jumping Tour double at 20 seconds. We've seen some of our leaders be coming out at 18 or 19 seconds from that black fence just below the jury tower. The Helm Limited goes. It didn't go very often in the first round. It's the first time it goes here in the jump off. And the Vitalize goes too. So Coco Faith and Aventador, unfortunately, it is going to be 8 faults for them. 40.34. If she'd been able to stay clear, she'd have gone on to the podium into 3rd place, pushing Megan McDermott down a place. 4 faults in that time. Would have gone into 5th, would have been the fastest 4-faulter, but the 8 faults is expensive for Coco Faith here this afternoon in the BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome. So Chilean Olympian Samuel Parro won plenty of Grand Prix in his career, including, as we mentioned, 2 on our Split Rock Jumping Tour series going back to 2015. Bugazzi, a good horse for him as well. We've seen this at very, very top Grand Prix with Samuel. And he has the A element. He's time-wise, he's in great shape. 18 seconds coming through there, but the 4 faults is expensive. A fast 4, of course, let's not forget, can go top 5 as things currently stand. And after Samuel, there are only 2 more to start in this jump off. But now it's 2 down. The Helm goes for the 2nd time in a row. 38.98. It is a time that had he been clear, he'd have gone into 2nd behind Daniel Blumen. He'd have split Daniel Blumen's 2. But with the 8 jumping faults, 9th on the ranking for Samuel Parro and Bugazzi. Our leader, Daniel Blumen, 38.46. Daniel also holds 2nd with Ubiluk, Megan McDermott and Nintendo are 3rd. And Jonathan Miller has our other double clear in fourth at the moment. So happy, good time girl. Gave us a clear towards the end of the draw. Riding for Angela Swanson here with Good Time Girl by Celestial. So Sire, I think, having a good tactic here. Just trying to replicate the quality of jumping she got from Good Time Girl in the first round. 21 seconds as you come out there, so 2.5, 3 seconds maybe down on the leaders. But double clear at the moment is guaranteed top 5. And only one remaining in the list. So even a slow double clear will finish no lower than 6th overall. So happy and Good Time Girl. Let's look at the time when she stops the clock. 44.57. And that does go into 5th place at the moment behind Jonathan Miller, Megan McDermott in 3rd, Daniel Blumen with the 1-2 still at the moment. Is Daniel Blumen safe? Is our last rider, horse and rider combination, are they going to go for the safe double clear that we've just seen a moment ago from Sire Happy, or are they going to try and challenge 38.46? Nobody has gone faster, although we've had a very, very strong time challenge from another rider, but they had 2 down. So it's all to play for. Ali Wolf and Query trying to see whether the United States of America can finally wrest back control of this competition as the 13th and final contender in this jump off. Daniel Blumen with the 1-2. The time to beat 38.46 as Ali Wolf and Query take up the challenge. So Ali wasn't trying to challenge Daniel Blumen anyway, and now having been relatively steady, they might be kissing goodbye to a placing up the leaderboard. The second rail down makes it all somewhat academic anyway, with 4 Falters taking us right the way down to 8th. All the way down to 9th, in fact, with Juan Andres Vegas Enriquez in 9th with 4 faults. So the 8 faults in 43.16 for Ali Wolf will go into 12th of the 13 we ended up seeing in the jump off. But again, there is an element of tactics, there's an element of gamesmanship here, because this isn't the biggest class of the week. The Grand Prix to come, this is the setup class for that. And some riders, yeah, they're out to win. And for some horse and rider combinations, Daniel Blumen and any of his horses, winning is just a standard part of the week. For others, though, they won't want to use all the gas, all the energy, all the mental acuity of their horse today. They'll just want to leave a little bit there. They'll just want to start opening those taps and then really open the floodgates in the Grand Prix on Saturday if things start going their way. Let's say that concludes day 2 here at Sarasota, with victory for Israel's Daniel Blumen, a 1-2, of course, for Daniel, the Israeli championship rider, with Megan McDermott on the podium in 3rd, Jonathan Miller in 4th, Sire Happy in 5th. They were our 5 double clears in the jump off at the BetHorseSports.com meter 45 FEI Welcome. We've got a real big day tomorrow in the main ring here at Sarasota, with it looks like an early start of 8 a.m, bringing us through to a 4 p.m. start for our FEI class tomorrow, meter 40 FEI speed. It's not going to be the biggest class in the world, $10,000 in the prize fund, but a little bit of speed horse specialism, and mostly for horses that maybe aren't going to be aimed at the Grand Prix the next day. So sort of a 2nd or 3rd horse class. We've currently got 17 declared in it, so it should be fast and furious tomorrow afternoon to wrap up our 3rd day. Saturday, the FEI focus of the day is going to be our meter 45 FEI Grand Prix, and that's 11 a.m. start on Saturday morning here. I would also point out tomorrow, Friday, 1:45, we've got a great class. It's the top-tier national meter 35 competition over 2 rounds. So we like those 2-round competitions here on the Split Rock Jumping Tour. Sort of winning round format, bringing back 10, bringing back faults as well. We had an excellent competition in that in Fort Worth over Christmas time during the World Cup show on the national tour. And then Sunday, the Championship Series. The Championship Series exclusively free to air on Horse and Country. And the meter 15, meter 25 and meter 35 Dutta Corporation Championship Series. They are 2-rounders as well, 25% comeback, bringing back faults. And that is going to be in each division for a total prize fund of $100,000. The Championship Series for the second time here at Sarasota. Sarasota wrapping up the series once again. So this, in fact, although we are, of course, obviously into January 2023, is the culmination of the 2022 series of the Split Rock Jumping Tour that started with our invitation at the Land Rover Kentucky 3-day event, went through the 2 weeks of the summer at the Kentucky Horse Park. Then we took in shows in Portland, Oregon, and in Paso Robles in California, before then 2 more weeks in the Lexington Horse Park and Aiken, and then the Fort Worth Indoor at the Will Rogers Memorial Coliseum in the stockyards for the competition that also incorporated the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup. Well, we're going to throw it out to the bowl here at Terra Nova Equestrian Centre outside Sarasota for the Podium Awards for the BetHorseSports.com FEI Welcome here at Lugano Diamonds Split Rock Jumping Tour.
Thank you so much for joining us here at the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. It's the second day of the Lugano Diamond Split Rock Jumping Tour edition here in Sarasota, Florida. If you've just joined us ringside, you join us for the mounted presentation for the BetHorseSports.com 1 meter 45 FEI 2-star welcome. Joining Derek Braun, the founder and president of the Split Rock Jumping Tour, to congratulate our winners is Natalie and Steve Herrig, the owners of the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. Let's take a look through the top 8. Great Britain's Jessica Mendoza and Barney Blue take 8th. In 7th, Colombia's Mark Blumen and Marilyn. In 6th, the United States of America's Caroline Mowini and Stella La Vista. In 5th, the USA's Good Time Girl and Sarah Happy. Shaking the hand of Steve Herrig, our 4th place. Canada's Jonathan Miller and Isotropic Shadow. In 3rd, Megan McDermott and Nintendo. In 2nd place, Daniel Blumen with Ibelik, and he also takes the win with Kashmir Debreys, Israel's Daniel Blumen. The top three dismounting from their horses. They'll be making their way to the podium. And those official photographs being captured by Wilslow Photography. They're here on site. You can also find them online. They'll be posted soon after the end of the class. A huge thank you to Natalie and Steve Herrig from the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. Thank you to Derek Braun, founder and president of the Split Rock Jumping Tour. They're all primed on the podium, and without further ado then, for those that can be, please be upstanding for the national anthem of your winner. Daniel Blumen, Israel. The winner of the BetHorseSports.com FEI 2-star welcome, Kashmir Debres and Daniel Blumen. They head back to their horses to get remounted. Thank you to Natalie and Steve Herrig, owners of the Terra Nova Equestrian Centre. Thank you to Derek Braun of the Split Rock Jumping Tour. Let's have it then. Away we go. Megan McDermott and your winner, Daniel Blumen. Daniel, let's go one more time. Let's go one more time. Another candidate perhaps for the fist pump challenge there. Daniel Blumen, Kashmir Debres takes the win of the BetHorseSports.com 1m45 FEI Welcome. I'm sure he's absolutely thrilled with that. I know we certainly enjoyed that class up here in the judges' box, and there's much more to come. We've just concluded day number 2. We've got 3 more still to come, and as we look to Friday, the 27th of January, we start things off with the Equestrian Closet Clear Round. We've got speed classes at 1m30, at 1m40, the 7-year-old final, a 1m35 competition over 2 rounds supported by Liaison, and then another FEI feature class. It's the $10,000 US, C. Jarvis Insurance FEI Speed. A lot to look forward to. We'll see you all here to do it all again tomorrow.